The video game industry is going through some major changes right now, and really a lot of developers and journalists have themselves to blame for being so out of touch with audiences. But it is the unfortunate truth that some good people are ending up losing their jobs. But we are finding out now that the games industry layoff figures were down slightly in 2025, but it was still horrendous. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I do not like to revel in the fact that people are losing their jobs, but at the same time, we have seen a lot of activists find their way into this industry. They're not talented enough to actually contribute to the title that they are working on, and really they are dead weight, and the industry overhired just a few years ago when work from home was very popular, and now they have to downsize. We're seeing a lot of projects being canceled and them refocusing their interests, and they are really trying to hone back in on projects that they think are ultimately going to make them money. That means a lot of people are getting laid off, and sure, AI has a little bit to do with this, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of layoffs due to AI until next year. Do I think that everybody in the industry is going to get replaced? Absolutely not. But if I was a game developer at one of these large companies, I'd probably be worried right now. So it says conditions remain tough in the games industry, and layoff figures were still high in 2025, although down from their peak in 2024. Now, this name right here is one that you might actually remember. It says Amir Satvat, the business development director at Tencent, maintains a widely used resource for helping people find jobs in the industry. And the reason why this guy is such an important factor to this story is because he was somebody the industry previously tried to write off as basically a nobody who was just looking to help game developers. So last year at the Game Awards, he was the first Game Changer recipient, so they tried to write him off as somebody who didn't have big ties in the video game industry. I did some digging back then. We found out that he had worked for Amazon, he works for Tencent, he's a plant, and they gave him a fake award so that they could virtue signal even more. But he is somebody who, quote unquote, attempts to include layoffs in this spreadsheet. But at the time of writing, he had settled on a figure of 9,175 games industry layoffs in 2025, just shy of the prediction of 9,769 he made back in January. So he does have a lot of inside information. I'm not saying that he is wrong in this case, but he is somebody that clearly is part of the industry. That's dramatically down on the estimated 15,631 layoffs in 2024, although still higher than the estimated 8,500 layoffs in 2022 when the current games industry crisis kicked in. So yeah, last year's estimations were insane, and he predicts that we'll see another 7,500 layoffs in 2026, and really, I can't say that I feel all that bad. Earlier this year, he said that over 70%, in some years 75% of the layoffs have been in North America, with AAA studios being particularly affected, with more than 50% of the cuts taking place in California. So we are seeing ultimately a lot of activists being let go. And while I am certain that there are a few people that were part of these layoffs that actually were passionate and talented and good at their jobs, a lot of these people were dead weight at these companies. A lot of these people were either helping make games that gamers did not actually want, or they made games that gamers did not actually want, and they failed out of the gate. And so that's why I'm not really going to shed a tear for them. The same reason why I would not shed a tear for the video game journalists that have been fired. More than 1,200 game journalists have left the media in the last 2 years. Oh no, guys, the people who are putting out Slop are being fired. I'm so sad about that. Yeah, you're not going to hear that from me unironically. The video game industry is in a very bad place, and we are seeing a lot of these companies really panic. Sony is demanding Naughty Dog give them the Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet internal demo because they have missed several deadlines. We see Sucker Punch now has new co-CEOs because Ghost of Yote maybe did not necessarily completely fail, but it also clearly did not meet their internal expectations. We have seen games like Concord come out where they've dropped $500 million into the development and the marketing, and they're flopping. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League lost over $250 million for Warner Brothers games, and the indie and double A's are really dominating right now. You are seeing titles like Arc Raiders doing amazing, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 sweeping the award season, even titles like Blueprints doing really good. Dispatch has had a lot of excitement behind it. So we are seeing a major shift. And yes, these large companies are going to have to readjust their focuses. And I would love to sit here and say they're going to start listening to us and they're going to change. I highly doubt it. Even if they changed, it would take years and years to implement these major changes. It takes 10 years for some games to go through development and then release, and then they sometimes come out and are complete and utter failures, like Dragon Age the Veilguard, for example. So there are a lot of games that are in development right now that are going to come out that might still push an agenda in your face. They might still just be propaganda, and that is the biggest issue in the video game industry. These people are not making games for the sake of escapism. They are making them and using them as vessels to push propaganda, and it is so sad to see that these cultural Marxists have really taken over. Can the industry change? Yes. Will it take a long time? Also, yes. Is this going to be an inevitable outcome that games industry individuals are being laid off? Yes. And really, this is what we need to be seeing happen. If you are talented, if you are passionate, if you actually care about this industry, you will probably be able to find another job. I don't want to say very easily, but you will be able to find one. And, well, you've all really backed yourselves into this corner. When I hear game developers from California are getting laid off, I can't sit here and say that I'm that heartbroken over it. And a lot of people are talking about this. Make games directed at the modern audience and you will lose the interest of your primary user base. Can we just make games that are fun again? Make bad games, consequences follow. Studios in the East and in Europe make good games and are hiring more people still, but something tells me they are not interested in those Californian AAA ideological developers. Needs to be even higher, around 80 to 95%, and the correction will be satisfactory. The game dev future is an indie future. No shock there. Good progress, only 25% remaining. Let's get it completed in 2026. I don't like applauding layoffs. However, this specific industry in America needed a hiring purge because of what activists have been doing in the industry, most especially company profitability due to DEI and anti-male attitudes that leaked into games equals dropped sales. It's also true that the economy isn't great, but a solid number of companies crash not because of the economy, but because of story and art choices. Yeah, a lot of companies have not crashed because of the economy, but because of their own actions, and your actions have consequences, and they are now learning what that actually means, that people are willing to walk away from their products if they're not good. People are upset, and they need to change their attitudes extremely quickly if they want to stay relevant and really stay in business. So, of course, I'm sure that I will be covering this more in the future, but we are hearing about massive layoffs in the AAA North American game industry. We are hearing 50% of them are from California, alongside the information that games journalists are leaving the media. Really, it looks like we could see a major change in the next few years. Only time will tell, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.